Hi, everyone, hope you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis, updated commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities, ETFs. That I follow. If you need help with anything, check out finding-value.com. We have a special going on right now, and the coupon code is special if you'd like to sign up. It's 50% off the first month and a larger discount on the yearly membership. So let's dive in, take a look, see what's going on today. We've got the DXY, still looks pretty weak to me. Large selling pressure candlesticks, small up candlesticks. That is a recipe for the dollar to go lower. That is also what we've seen historically in commodity bull markets are these big moves lower in the dollar, the DXY. And that will cause money rotation, the weakening of the dollar. And that's exactly what we're seeing. Usually what's paired with the weaker dollar is weaker yields. So the 2-year yield is dropping 1.6%. Now, I don't know if we're going to fall off a cliff yet. We would like, if it is, I'd like to see it break through this support region right underneath us. If we do blast through that, we could see a slowdown in the market. We could see rates continue to go lower, and we would see a weakening of the dollar, I think, all go on. The 10-year yield also heading lower, but we're above a lot of support. The support that I'm talking about is this support right through here. And that is still a bullish formation coming on up here at this exact moment. And then the 30-year, we're down 1.45% today. We're still above a lot of support. This guy going across there, draw it something like this. And the support level that is this guy coming across here. So those are still in bullish formations on the long end of the curve. The short end will have to see if it blasts through that support to the downside. QIX TNX ratio, we are heading higher today, up 0.33%. There we are moving on up. Precious metals, specifically gold, likes this when it goes up. Now, we weren't up today in gold, but this is generally the time frame that gold does very well. If we were to get another move like that, gold would be the winner, and we could see a market slowdown is very possible. Bond prices are up today, 1.2%, as yields have fallen, and we are still stuck in the mud in terms of we're not moving in either direction. We're just moving sideways at this current time. The 2 and 10-year yield curve inverted today. So the 10-year went down more than the 2-year. And we are basically putting in what looks like to me a bullish formation to go up and invert the curve. So that still looks good to invert at this current time. It hasn't fallen out of this yet. And that is something that doesn't really match the narrative that people are pushing out where we get a recession, the yield curve generally falls. And this is still well positioned for what looks to me like a potential move higher in the short term. Gold, right at that resistance line that I put up there yesterday. And I kind of just, what I drew was resistance up at the top here. And then I just drew a trend line coming on up. So we could maybe consolidate sideways before continuing higher. And then the silver price down 1.74%, a little bit larger down day today. And we've got some resistance through here as well. That this still looks good on the long term, still looks like it wants to roll higher, but we are hitting some resistance right where we're at. Platinum down 1%. We could be getting going back inside the pattern. This still looks good. We've got a nice big bullish engulfing monthly candlestick last month. And this month, we've had a little bit of selling pressure in platinum. And you can see that on the weeklies here. We came on up, and then we're flagging out to some degree or putting in a pennant formation. Palladium down 2.3%. A little bit stronger selling pressure. We'll see if there's any follow through with it. It does look like we've got a little bit of squeezing there, and maybe we come back, bust out of that, and do another back to the support area. Definitely possible. GDX down 3.3, GDXJ down 3.96, and SILJ down about 4.6%. Bigger, longer term view. Last kind of market when we went up, 18 was kind of the bottom here in that TYX TNX ratio, and then you can see we went up like this. Similar here, maybe we've got something going on that is very similar to this going on. Maybe, maybe not. But that's kind of the path that it took last time we went. And November 18, you go back to TYX TNX ratio, this is July of 18. So right in that area is the spot to be looking for potential investments in precious metals and stuff like that. We go back to SILJ, that is when we had basically kind of that section there where we bottomed and we started to work our way on up. This was the crash there. So we've got one hump, the second hump, and on this one we have a potential. That's where we had that problem. So do we have something coming up? I don't know. Maybe the yield curve in 2020. If you were to look at the yield curve, we were right here coming around, and it was 0.85%. Right now we're at 0.95%. So I don't know. We're going to head lower and eventually have a slowdown or something like that. Very similar. XE to gold ratio down 3.8% today. Pretty big. We're still above support, but the mining companies definitely underperform gold itself, and we're still at just ridiculously low prices. Just because it's cheap doesn't mean it will go up. We could very well go lower in the short term. That is very, very well a possibility, but it is cheap. Crude oil down 3% today. Ugly looking day today. There we are right there. We could see further downside if there's follow through here. It's a pretty strong selling pressure candlestick. We closed towards the end of the day quite low. The momentum is still heading lower in the short term for this candlestick. It does look a little bit ugly, that's for sure, for today. We've got TTF gas down 2.76%, coming towards the lower end of this channel. We've come all the way back and could be using that as support soon. Natural gas in America is up about 3%, and we're above this strong support resistance line, this long-term one, which is good if you want higher nat gas prices. Our boy XOP, yeah, you know me, down 3.14% today, and we're still jammed between the head or the neckline and the potential support area. Now, there is a possibility that we do come back and create a larger shoulder. The way that would look is it would be copying the way that this thing fell. I flip it this way, which is just flipping it over, and that is what potentially could happen as we get this one, perhaps last dip before heading higher. That is a possibility where we get one last dip if it were to mirror this side mirrored that way or flipped that way. So that is a possibility, and that should be on people's radar. OIH getting sold off about 3%. There we are there. We had a little bit of a squeeze up. It is possible that this move does something like that and gets us back down to the 260 area. Definitely a possibility, and we're seeing a little bit more selling pressure today than what we've seen in the past year. Newcastle coal futures tracking sideways. There we are, tracking sideways. We're back to support, which is the long-term support level of this guy coming back through here. We broke out, and this is our retest. We've got Sprott Physical Uranium Trust down 2%, getting some selling pressure along with everything else. And here we are. We could very well even come all the way back down here and do a full retest. Your breakout, and then your retest. Uranium futures pricing up slightly, but not much. Just working our way on down here in the short term. We've got URA down 4%, seeing some stronger selling pressure here. Yeah, we could definitely head lower here in the short term. We've got a reversal candlestick that is this guy there, big bearish engulfing on the monthly, and we are closing strong. And if we close strong, the month out strong, we very well could have a larger pullback. Uranium also selling off 3.4%. I'd like to see some buying pressure step in here before I start accumulating a bunch of shares. But momentum is down, and we need to see that momentum turn. URNJ also down. This is getting real close to where I consider to be a buy point, or it's basically in it. We've got support through here and here. Some pretty big support. We bounced off that support before, and we're right in that general area. So let's see if we get a bounce coming up here over the next, let's say next week, few trading days. We've got copper also selling off 1.6%. This was flirting with a potential breakout. You can see we've got some big wicks up there. There's some strong resistance that we have to break through, and it is completely possible that we come back within the pattern. So there we are, getting some selling pressure today. Right at support resistance is where we are located. COPX down 4.72%. Lots of volatility going on here. Looks like we've got a consolidation, a 1 hump, a 2 hump, and a 3 hump. Upward facing though, kind of a weird deal there. And we'll see where we go here. This is a tough read. We've got some strong selling pressure that just showed up today across the board too. It's not just located in copper or something like that. It's selling pressure across the board. Iron ore tracking sideways. Still looks good to go higher. Nothing looking bad there. Aluminum down 1.9%, still being contained barely in this area there. We've got nickel up about 1% and trying to work its way on up. We'll see if we get any follow through there. Mu down 0.31. Just chopping sideways at the moment. No clear path. It's kind of just chopping all over. We're back within the pattern here. This is a retest. And, is this pullback done? Tough to say, but I think we'll eventually go higher. I mean, that's the cycle that we are entering. Emerging markets down 0.3%. Right there does look like a little bit of a reversal candlestick. We'll see if we get a pullback or consolidation. KRE down 2.6%. Definitely home builders look a little bit weaker, and home sales and the regional banking ETF, I do think they're tied together. But a little bit of selling pressure going on today, that's for sure. TAN down 2.66%. This has just been in a brutal pullback for TAN. Lithium down slightly, 0.6%. Consider that a win for the day when everything else is pulling back so big. We could see a retest back to 41 in the short term. REMX down 2%, still above support. There's your support level. We've got Baltic Dry Index. This is probably yesterday's, up 4%. It goes down a little bit, but it's trying to bottom here, is what it looks like. We've got XHB down 2.75% today. Pretty strong selling pressure day to day. What I don't like seeing are these rising wedges. Rising wedge coming on up. We've broken that to the downside, and now we're getting a little bit of selling pressure mixed in with that. Could we see a slowdown in the housing market, which could lead to unemployment, which could lead to a potential recession? That is a possibility because home builders are generally the leaders. The way this trades is generally a leading indicator of that. Now, someone asked me, are we at the peak of this cycle? I don't think so, no. How do I know that? Well, we don't have a lot of existing inventory. And the peaks of all those other cycles, we had a lot of inventory, existing and new home builds. But I think the affordability is the problem. So if this slows down and we get lower interest rates, I think the demand is there. And the inventory of new homes is obviously them building to meet that demand. So I don't think we're in a hyper supply phase where completed inventories on top of existing inventories are at high levels. I think we're in a slowdown in the middle of the cycle. You could even say we're in a mid-cycle wobble still. We went into an expansion phase, and we're slowing that. We're slowing down. Well, you could say we're slowing down in an expansion phase, perhaps. Russell 2000 down 3%. Everything is getting sold off here, and it's got some pretty big selling pressure. It ended quite strong. The S&P 500 also selling quite strong, with a strong closing down. Usually, you see these big, strong selling pressure candlesticks towards tops. So you'll start to see these big candlesticks start to show up all over the place. They call them distribution candlesticks, where people are selling into retail. And then the NASDAQ also getting a pretty strong selling pressure candlestick, and they're starting to come up. If there's a few of them up here, they are bearish engulfings back here. This one could be almost considered one. And we could see a move lower. We'll have to see follow through. SMCI down 5.4%. That's a bearish engulfing. That looks good to go lower. We've got NVIDIA down 4%. And again, look at these big red candlesticks here. They're starting to show up all over the place here. And those are generally distribution candlesticks where it puts in a top and then eventually rolls over is a possibility. Calling tops is really difficult. There's basically no one that can do it repeatedly. But this looks like a top to me with these big red distribution candlesticks. BTC also putting in a very large red candlestick today. We had a breakout of this consolidation here. And then I think there was news about a COVID virus in a lab. I don't know why they would share that information, but obviously it seems like they wanted to stop some sort of move from happening. Maybe they needed to slow down gold. Maybe they needed to slow down Bitcoin, gold, and the commodity markets. I don't know. Ethereum down 3.81%. That doesn't look as good. I mean, you've got kind of a pattern that looks like this. That could potentially head lower in the short term there. MicroStrategy down 7.5%. That is a pretty large selling candlestick. This was looking really good for a move higher here. And then we got this big selling pressure candlestick. Now, we'll have to see if there's follow through with it. There's also some pretty big distribution candlesticks here. Could be the beginning of it, but we got to see follow through. And then the VIX is up 16.5%. So the VIX is spiking up today with the S&P moving down. Could we get a spike in the VIX upward? I don't know. We'll have to see and see what follow through there is. We can obviously put something like that where we could easily break higher in the VIX and maybe we get a sell-off. Yeah, definitely possible. So that's what I've got for today, guys. Give me a thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website. Specialist the coupon code. We've got a Sunday question and answer session coming up at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. I'm going to cover what drives stocks higher, sentiment, valuations, all these different things, and I'll show you the cycles and all that stuff and how they're all kind of interconnected. So if you're interested in learning about that stuff, definitely sign up. That special coupon code, 50% off the first month, and a larger discount on the yearly membership. But that's what I've got for today. We'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.